All right, so we're currently on our way to go meet with the Department of Planning and Development so we can get some more clarity on exactly what we're going to need to do, what we're going to need to pay for, and all of that stuff to get this whole situation sorted out. What's up, everybody, and welcome to my office for story time. So, on Wednesday, a county inspector came out and informed me that I had received a complaint from one of my neighbors. Now, this whole entire issue goes all the way back to the summer of 2023. This is back when I was building my shop expansion. I got a letter in the mail from the county that said, cease and desist all business operations or we will put a lien on your property. So for those of you who don't know, my shop is on my parents' property. We're out here kind of in the country, surrounded by a lot of farmland. We have about 1 acre out here, and that is where I started my business, is in this shop. I've slowly been growing the business. I've expanded it, gotten employees, and that's where we've set up. So I get this letter, and it's very concerning because if they're going to be putting a lien on my parents' property, that's going to be a big deal. So I tell everybody to go home for that day. I get this letter around after lunch, around the afternoon time. Everybody goes home. I pay them for the rest of the day, and I call the county to try and figure out what's going on with this and what the issue is that I need to fix. So they inform me that one of my neighbors called to complain about me running my business out of the shop. There were some complaints about the noise and only the noise, and that was the biggest complaint that they had. So what I ended up learning was that in order to continue to operate my business, I needed to apply for a home occupation permit, essentially. So it was this very long process that I had to do back in the summer of 2023. I basically had to write up this 30-page document that explained my whole entire plan for what we were going to do. I had to have a site plan, this map of where we were going to be storing things, where the septic was, where business operations would take place, where we would be parking cars. It was this whole rigmarole. Cost me $1,300 just for the application, not even knowing if I was going to actually get approved or not. So I started to try and think of who this could have been that would have reported me to the county, which one of my neighbors it would have been. And I really couldn't figure it out because the neighbors we have over here, we've always had a great relationship with them. They've been our neighbors for years, and we've always had that kind of neighborly relationship where we're always helping each other out. They need firewood, we're helping them out. The old guy who lives over there. So there's the old guy who owns the property. He's probably in like his mid to late 70s. Then there's the guy who lives over there, who's his son, and he's probably in like his mid 40s. So we've always helped him out. The old guy works on these lawnmowers. We've always welded stuff up for him, fabbed things for him, and just we've always helped each other out. We have a gate in between our two properties because we used to go to each other's properties so much that we would use this gate to get across and access our property easier without having to go all the way out to the road. So couldn't really figure out who it was, but part of this application process, they sent out my site plan to everybody, all the neighbors within a 1-mile radius, and basically gave them an opportunity to review my site plan and see if they had any issues with it. So it wasn't just a thing of, hey, we had all these people complain. No, only the one guy complained. But then they sent out a letter and basically encourage people to say all of your complaints, say all the things that you're going to have a problem with this, just say no. And then that way they can take all of those complaints in, all of the reviews, and then they can decide if they're going to approve me for the application or not. So that was when I was finally able to find out who had made the complaint, because they send me a letter with all of the different things that came in, and then I have the chance to rebut what they're saying or make adjustments to the site plan if needed, and so on. So that's when I found out that it was this neighbor over here, the ones who we had a great relationship with. Now, mind you, 2 weeks before this complaint came in, I had just completed a metal project and helped fab something up for the old guy who lives over there. And now his son is calling in to complain on me. Now, that all happening reminded me and kind of refreshed my memory of something that happened about 2 months before this letter came in. So, the old guy, he came over and to me in the shop and said, "Hey, is your dad around? I'd like to talk to him." I'm like, "Yeah, he's over there." So he goes and talks to my dad, and come to find out, a 45-year-old man sent his daddy to go talk to my daddy about the noise issue that he was having instead of just coming to talking to me directly. So when the old guy went to go talk to my dad was like, "You're talking to the wrong person. This isn't my business. This isn't my show. You need to go talk to Noah if you're having these issues." So he comes and talks to me. The old man comes and talks to me and essentially asked if we could start no earlier than 10 a.m. 10 a.m. Now, again, this is in the middle of the summer. And in our shop, we do not have any air conditioning or insulation in the shop. We have an air conditioner in here in the office, but we do not have it in the shop. So in the summer, our plan to be able to stay cool and get work done is we come in early, we open the doors, we have fans blowing on us, and we work for as long as we can. And if you guys have been paying attention to my Instagram, sometimes that's only till like noon or 1 o'clock. A couple weeks ago, it was 106 degrees in the shop by 1 p.m. So we're going home. So we work for as long as we can and try and make up hours later in the week, sometimes working Saturdays, or now that we have this 410 schedule, working on Fridays. So I explained to him that's completely unreasonable. I want to help you guys out. I told him I didn't even know that this noise thing was an issue until just now. I'm sorry to hear about that. We'll do everything we can, but starting at 10 a.m. is not one of those things that we can do. We take lunch at 11. We're not going to start at 10 a.m. That would leave us with 2 hours in the day to work in the middle of the summer. And all throughout the rest of the year, the other 8 months of the year, it's Oregon. So the doors are shut and we have a heater going and we're cooped up inside of here. So it's only this short period of time for our hot summer that we open the doors to cool off. So the letter that his son had sent to the county as part of the process was full of just a bunch of lies. So one of the lies, back then, I used to have a big metal dumpster, just like you'd see in any other business. And so that would get emptied every other week at about 6 a.m. He wrote in this letter that the trash can got emptied at 2:30 a.m. every week, which is just a straight up lie. It's not 2:30 a.m. And so I drove down to my garbage place and I had them print me off this whole paperwork basically that states exact times that it came to get picked up. And I forget exactly, but it was something like, it wasn't anything earlier ever than 5:50 a.m. It was always around that 6 a.m. time that he would come to pick up the trash. The other thing is, I don't have any control of when the trash company comes to pick up the trash. And anybody in town who lives next to a place that has a metal dumpster is going to be experiencing the same exact thing. So a little bit more clarification because of that in town, more clarification on what exactly our property is like. So out here, my parents have 1 acre and we're very much so out in the country. So you drive down a gravel road to get here, and directly across the street over there is a big nursery and a big farm where all throughout the year, as early as 5 in the morning, they have tractors driving up and down doing their farm work. So when I started to apply for all of this, I learned what the zoning was. So directly across the street is considered a farm, but then the gravel road that we live on divides it to where over here is what's considered very low density residential area, which means I would have to apply for this home occupation thing that I had to do. If I was over there, that would be farm, wouldn't be a big deal because it's not residential, but technically this is considered residential. Now, the wildest part about all of this, because I run a business, I try very, very hard to maintain a clean and well-kept property. So that way, when customers come in here, it looks nice and presentable and professional. Some of the properties that are in this neighborhood are so disgusting and just trashy. One of them being the neighbor that he lives right next to. Those don't get reported. I get reported because I'm running this business and causing all of these noise issues. Another thing that he presents is that he said that he tried to bring it up to us and it was a negative response and that there has been harassment towards them. That is an absolute lie. The one who's complaining, the son, has never come to talk to me about it once. I didn't even know it was an issue until his dad came to talk to me about it. Now, again, we get back to the relationship that we had with these neighbors before. There was never any kind of hostile thing that would make you think he would feel uncomfortable with coming to talk to me about this. Again, there's a gate in the middle of the fence for them to just be able to freely access our property and come over here for anything that they needed to talk to us about. Merry Christmas, that kind of a thing. But no, he doesn't come to talk to me about it. He just reports me directly to the county. So my other neighbors who are over here, they're big hot rod people. So they wrote me a letter of support and said that they really enjoy that I run my business out of here. They said, if you look at his property compared to all the other properties out here, it's one of the nicest looking properties because he keeps up on it and nobody else out here keeps up on their property. So that was very nice. So out of the whole 1 mile radius of all the neighbors surrounding us, the only one who complained was him. So 2 letters came into the county, a letter of support and his complaint letter with lies in it. So after reviewing it, the county decides that they're going to approve me. But one of the conditions for approval is that I build a 6-foot tall sight obscuring fence along the whole property line. That is absolutely ridiculous because that is not going to do anything at all for the noise. And I understand why the county thinks that, because there's a lot of people who complain when you're running a business out of your neighbor's running a business. Maybe it doesn't look super good, so they don't want to have that eyesore. So they have you build a sight obscuring fence. So that was not the issue. It was only the noise. So I explained to the county how that's not going to do anything, but they don't care. They just want the fence to be built. So I decide, you know what? I'm going to walk over there and I'm going to talk to them and see if we can get something worked out, because we've always had a good relationship with these neighbors. Maybe I can see if we can get something worked out. Go over there and I knock on the door. He's shocked and surprised to see me. And I basically explained to him how I did this whole thing. It cost me $1,300 to apply for this. It's been a huge headache. And now they want me to build this fence. And I got the quote on the fence, and it's going to cost me $10,000 to build this fence that's not going to do anything for you. And he goes into this whole thing of, oh, I didn't mean anything by it. I didn't think that they were going to get you in trouble or anything like that. Oh, no. And then I'm like, what about this fence? He's like, that fence is not going to do anything. I can't believe that they would make you want to do that. That's not going to do anything. And so I was like, okay, well, if we have this talked out and worked out, and I try and be a little quieter for you and be conscious of that, can you call the county and tell them that you don't want one of the requirements to be that I build this fence? Because all it's going to do is cost me a lot of money, and it's just going to do nothing to actually help what the actual issue you're having is, which is the noise. He's like, yeah, absolutely. I'll call the county today and we'll get all that worked out so you don't have to build the fence anymore. So he never did that. And so he called again and complained again. And on Wednesday is when the county inspector comes out and informs me that he got a complaint again about the noise, and that now I'm in violation of my home occupation permit because I don't have this fence built. And so I explained to him, well, he told me he was going to tell you guys to take that off. Well, he never did. So another thing is, as far as the building expansion, we had to get some electrical permits done for all the lighting and plugins we were putting over there. And then we still had to get our final inspection done. And then they also told me a year after I got approved for this home occupation permit that I needed to convert my building over to commercial. And basically what that was going to consist of was giving them $850 and then them just changing some letters in their paperwork that says it's a commercial building now. And it takes away my ability to ever work on this building ever again. So if I needed a light socket changed out, I have to call a licensed electrician. A plug-in goes bad, I can't go to Home Depot, get a $5 plug-in. I got to call a licensed electrician and spend hundreds of dollars to get it changed out. And from now and forever on, once I get it converted to commercial, always has to be done by a licensed contractor. So I knew all of that needed to be done. And I got a letter in the mail that said I had till November 27th, I believe, to get all of that stuff done and completed for them to then get the building converted over to commercial. Well, now because they've received a complaint, now they're all hot and bothered that I got to get all of that stuff done right now. So now I have to get all the electrical inspections and permits and stuff done, the final inspections and permits stuff done. I have to get everything, them come to inspect it to convert it over to a commercial building. The fire department has to come out and inspect my driveway. Then I have to build the whole fence. And it's just a huge, giant headache to now get in compliance with all of this stuff just because he can't handle to come over here and come talk to me about the noise. He just has to complain about it. So the good news is I talked to the county and I said, listen, if I do all of this stuff and I get in compliance by building the fence and then finish the permitting process for the building and do all the final inspections and all of that stuff, what's going to happen if he just continues to complain? Because I know he's going to just continue to complain. And they assured me that as long as I'm in compliance with everything that needs to be done and my site plan that I had, that he can complain as much as he wants to, and nothing's going to be able to be done about it. But it is just really, really frustrating. So 2 weeks before I get this letter, like 2 weeks ago, right before we left for Bonneville, the dad came over, the old guy came over with a giant bag of plums and is like, hey, here's some plums for you guys to enjoy while you go to the Bonneville salt flats that he got off of his trees. And we're like, oh, cool, thanks, because we had kind of started to amend this relationship after all of this stuff went down. Okay. And then another thing was he brought me a metal project that he wanted me to do. The very thing that they're complaining about, he brought this piece of metal over for me to try and fix for him. And then before that, he was having issues with his computer and couldn't figure out how to message this guy on Craigslist. So I emailed this guy on Craigslist for him to help him out. So we tried to amend this relationship after they did all this and complained and tried to put a lien on my property and shut my whole business down. And then now this again. So fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. So we're done. I'm so done with them. I got to build this fence and it's just a giant headache. So I never really talked about this whole story before just because some of the people who are closer to me, the story, but I didn't really talk about it on social media or anything just because I kind of wanted to just let it go, move on, get the stuff done. But now I'm going to talk about it because now he's just being difficult. And I can already see that the only solution that he sees that's going to make him happy is if I'm just not running a business out of here anymore. That's what he doesn't want to compromise. I was willing to compromise and try and see if we could come to an agreement and try and help him out with the noise. He doesn't want that. He just wants me to not be in business at all anymore. And he's a liar because he tries to tell me to my face, oh, I never meant for any of that to happen. I didn't know that would happen if I did that. No, you're a liar and you're a Karen and you can't even come over and talk to me like a man and tell me what your issues are. So you continue to complain to the county. That'll be fine. I'm going to get in compliance and keep growing my business. So thank you guys for watching this little story time video. We'll keep you guys updated on how everything goes. So I'm still in the process of getting all that stuff done. We'll probably do a video of us building the fence. And yeah, thanks for watching.